Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, I wanted to ask the question, why does my home theater room suck? Does it suck? The answer to that is yes, it does. It actually does suck. It's a horrible room. And I'll get to my thought process on that in a minute. But I was sitting getting ready to do the calibration videos and I thought, wow, like there's a lot of things wrong with this room. This may be one of the worst rooms I've ever had since back when I was living at home as a teenager and in my early 20s. Like that was one of the smallest and worst rooms I've ever had. But like, and I've gotten into a great room which started this channel. And then I moved and that was a decent size room, but still small. And then moved back into that room that I started the channel in. And now I'm here. And I love this place that we're in and I love this phase of life, but the room itself sucks. It sucks for a home theater and it really does. And I'll share with you why I think that and why I know this to be true. So, the reason this room sucks is for a number of different reasons, which I've already pointed out in numerous videos since I've been here in the past couple of months, past couple of videos for you guys. I've explained probably in every single video, you can probably see my disdain for this room. A couple reasons being, one, it's too small for the type of gear I have now at this point. You know, an Epson projector. It's one of the faux 4K ones, but it's fine for now. Of course, I'm always wanting to upgrade. But throw distance. That's the first problem. This projector right above my head and where it's positioned to the screen, it's about. Well, let's get a measure out here. Check real quick from my eye. So 116 inches, almost 10 feet, right? But with that throw distance, I'm only able to get in CinemaScope because I have a CinemaScope screen, and the screen itself is around 130 inches, I think. I have since rebuilt it since I moved into this new place, so it's slightly smaller than the one I had before, but just a little bit. So I'll throw that diagonal measurement up here because I can't remember off the top of my head how big it is with the new design. But the throw distance, I'm only able to get, I want to say, around maybe 84 or 90-degree diagonal image when I'm watching movies in CinemaScope. When it comes to watching movies in 16 by 9, I'm actually able to fill up the screen all the way in terms of that height ratio. So that portion, I'm not losing anything, but I built this theater around the fact that I want to watch movies. That was the main focus, and that is most movies are in CinemaScope, and I just like that format. I think that should be the default format for everything out there, everywhere. But that's a topic for another video. So I'll have to, you know, I'll have to play a movie and measure what it is because I can't remember. But when I'm watching movies in scope with the size screen that I have, I literally have black bars on top, bottom, left, and right because I just can't get my projector back far enough to fill up that image, unfortunately. So that's the first reason this room just sucks. It's horrible. Second reason is it's got these really horrible, slanted, pitched in pieces of ceiling that extend all the way from the screen wall almost to the back of the theater. Maybe there's about a 2 foot gap, but it's just horrible. It sticks out. It's because of the design of this house. It's got a really steep pitch of the roof and just the style. And because of that, it just digs into the room and it's horrible. I've always hated that. It's the house I grew up in and the room I was in had that, and now this room has it, and it's awful. It's You want a nice rectangle for the optimal theater, so that's reason number two. This theater sucks. Now, this next reason number three, is more so up to me because I'm a renter, but the color. I hate the color of these walls. I don't know what the original homeowner was thinking with this paint, but it's like it comes off as more, I want to say pinkish salmon on camera sometimes, but it's like halfway between a pink salmon color and a warm yellowish color. I don't even know how to describe it. And the reason I don't want to paint is because I'm renting this place. I'm a renter, unfortunately. I don't have my own home. And yes, I probably could get away with painting. I have a good relationship with the landlord, and I think he'd be okay with me painting. But then that's just one more thing I have to do when I move out, especially if I'm trying to make it speedy. I don't want to have to paint because I'm going to be painting this wall a dark gray if this were my permanent home. But if this were my permanent home, I'd be building on and making a bigger dedicated theater. But even if this was my place to paint, it wouldn't be that color. So it's just the aesthetics wise. You want your theater for the most part to be darker tones, darker colors, things that don't distract from what you're supposed to be looking at, which is the screen. All your attention is supposed to be drawn to that screen, which is why I put a blackout wall on there, which is why the triple black velvet solution is such a neat idea and a nice way to get around. If you are a homeowner and you don't want to paint, that triple black velvet it's just black. I mean, it's light absorbs when you hit it with a flashlight or a laser or anything else, and the perceived contrast almost goes up because the image is so well, the screen and the image pops so much more because the surrounding is just pure black velvet, especially of course when you have the lights turned off. So yeah, and then another reason that I hate this room, and again, it's because of the way it was designed, is normally you want your room to be a rectangle. You want it to be longer than it is wider. And this room is, however, because of the setup, I couldn't really do the theater switched around. I couldn't put the screen over there or the screen over there. If I did, it would be way, way, way smaller. And then that would have presented new problems with how I would go about hanging up acoustic panels because behind the screen is 3 sets of windows. And that already presented a big challenge when I was trying to mount my speakers. And if you know what I did for that, if you're new to this channel, go ahead and check out uh, one of my past videos. Can't remember the title right now, but it shows what I did to get around having windows where my screen is going to be and where my KEF THX in walls, where I made a custom enclosure for them. It shows how I went about solving that issue. But yeah, it's just normally you'd want the screen to be on the shorter side of the room. So meaning that your speakers and your chairs, they run the length side. So ideally screen would be over there, and then the couch would be over there. But because of the slanted walls and ceilings, it would have presented some really funny things for the acoustics, which are already bad enough. So I went with this shorter throw distance. Um, so that's just another reason why this room is just less than ideal, and it kind of sucks. Another reason why I don't like this room is because the closet's right there. It's not large enough, and it has to be not only my clothes closet, but then the closet for my rack, my home theater rack, which I built custom. And that presents some challenges with airflow. Now, I do have an AC Infinity fan on my receiver, and that's really the only unit in my entire rack that produces heat. Most of my amplifiers, even if I'm running them for 4 to 5 hours, barely put out any heat. But the Marantz processor, that thing will put out a ton of heat after about 2 or 3 hours of watching a movie. So I have the AC Infinity fan on top of that. But it just needs to be bigger, basically, and ideally not placed right there. Ideally, if you were able to build your home theater room from, concrete and studs up, you would place the, rack room, electronic room off to, the side, and then have it just be kind of a hidden door that, you can't even tell it's like a door. You would just press into it, and there's the own separate room with its own climate control and everything. So that also presented me some problems too, in the sense of like, I have to have all these ugly wires everywhere. Now, there are lots of different ways you can go about hiding wires. Um, for the ceiling, I use these. Um, I don't even know what you would call these clips, but it's just a system where it's two nails and there's a plastic little piece between them, and you can fit about two or three speaker wires, depending on what type you use, in between them. It happened to work for the ceilings, but I'm still trying to come up with an elegant solution as to how I want to hide my LCR wires, which are still staring at me, and my surrounds. So wire management, this room just also sucks entirely for it. It's just really horrible. Another reason why I don't like the room is it's also just too small in the sense of like my rows of seating. Now typically it's only me and my girlfriend in here, but when I want to have say friends or family over more than say three people, which could fit in here. I mean these couches are pretty big, so you could probably get four people in here quite comfortably, but I can't have multiple rows of seating like I did in my old theater, where I was able to comfortably fit six people each in their own seat. And then, of course, people could be, on the ground if they wanted to, or people could be, bring their camping chairs even in the old theater because it was so big. But in here, I have no option for extended seating. It's four people maximum on here, and that's it. So, yeah, it's just a less than ideal room in so many ways. And then, of course, I had brought this up as part of another point, but the windows in here. Now, of course, yes, every room's going to have windows, right? But the windows are on the screen side. So not only do I have to black out, like, yeah, you got the blinds, right? But then you have to shut those. You have to put some blackout because even if you have blackout blinds, they still let in light, on the seams, between the blind and the framing at the top, bottom, the sides, everywhere. You can still see it. So you got to black those out with, triple black velvet or really thick fabric. But yeah, it's just another challenge. And again, trying to get those speakers back there, the window's dead center in the room, of course, and that's where the speaker needs to be. And so I had to come up with that whole thing with attaching a custom piece of wood on each side, which not only doubles for holding the screen up, but it doubles as a support, which runs an aluminum piece of angle iron all the way across. And that's what's the speakers are sitting on. So it just presents so many challenges. I think out of all the rooms I've ever been in my entire life, this room presented the most challenges. And like I've always been a renter. That's not necessarily the issue. I guess it depends on the type of relationship you have, say, with the landlord, the homeowner, or your rental company. Even if you have a perfect relationship with all those people involved, there's just some people are not as handy as I am. For instance, this stuff comes naturally to me. I do woodworking and metalworking as a hobby. I've been doing this type of stuff for 20 years or so. I am very, very good and gifted with my hands and just making things and coming up with clever solutions. But other people, may not have those skills. And so that presents a challenge for those of you who want to have a multi channel home theater system and get to, where I am or beyond. It presents a lot of challenges when you are a renter and you're having to just deal with a less than ideal room. Now, the whole point of this video was not only to dog on why I hate this room and why it sucks and why it's less than ideal for home theater, but it's also to inspire those of you who are at any step of the game in home theater, whether you're just starting out or you've been doing this for 10, 15, 20, 30 years and beyond. It's to inspire those of you who are in tough situations in terms of you're still living at home if you're young, or you're a renter and you're in an apartment or you're in a rental home. You're not going to get always the perfect room, and you're going to have a lot of different challenges. Some of you even have the situation where say you're a homeowner, but maybe your spouse doesn't want you to have this big theater in its own separate room because maybe you have kids or just other needs for that room, and you have to have your theater, this big setup in a living room. And maybe the living room also shares, it's like an open living room that goes into a kitchen and dining area and all that stuff. The point is, though, I just wanted to inspire and tell everyone that no matter where you are in life or in this hobby, there's always a solution to all the multiple problems that come with imperfect rooms or come with being a renter. There's so many things that you can do. You can, of course, watch videos like mine and just tons of other people's videos who have the necessary skills. You can pick up woodworking skills from woodworking videos and metalworking videos and painting videos and all these electronic videos for soldering and wiring, all this stuff. You can pick up these skills relatively easy, and then you can use that knowledge you gain to help fix your imperfect room, your situation where you're in an area where you don't want to be, but this is the only room you can have for the time being, your theater in. There's always going to be something you can do to get that speaker there and get it wired and get your acoustic panels up and get your painting done, or your blackout wall, or your Dolby Atmos speakers, whatever it may be that goes into this hobby of having a multi-channel audio system. There's always something that can be done to work around your problems and issues that you may come across in all the multiple apartments and houses that you're going to end up renting. And then hopefully, one day we all get into a home, right? And then, if we're real lucky, we get into a home, and then we have a room that we can change and make our dream home theater. Or you can get extra lucky and get to build it from the ground up, where you're starting, with a clean slate of concrete and studs, and then you can just go to town and design it. And that's the goal. That's where I want to get to one day, and that's what I will, never stop striving to get to, is that dream home theater room. But until I get there, this is what I have, and this is the challenges I have to face. And I've worked around pretty much all the challenges I've had. There's a lot of things, of course, that I don't like about the room, but look what I've done. I've been able to come up with a clever solution to get everything pretty much to my liking. I got my screen, I got the projector above me, I got my four Dolby Atmos speakers hung up, I got my acoustic panels that are also speaker enclosures up. Same with the LCRs. I got a black carpet in here. I got my at least four people seating couch in here. It works. It works. And my girlfriend and I have enjoyed a lot of movies and television shows in here since we've been in here for almost a year, and we're going to be here for another year. And we're just going to make it better and better with every month. So, yeah, I hope this video inspired you guys, no matter where you are in life and no matter where you are in this wonderful hobby that we enjoy. Okay, so that does it for this video. If you guys like this video, please go ahead and send it and share it with your friends or family who are into home theaters, hi-fi, and gear reviews. And please like the video if you found it informative and helpful. And if you guys could do me a huge favor, we're getting really close to that 5,000 subscriber mark. If you can just take 2 seconds, hit that subscribe button, that would help me more than you know. I would greatly appreciate it. So until then, thank you for watching and happy listening.